we need to remove ourselves from our parent, and we need to add ourselves to something else. So this is wrong. We want to keep this user ID, but we want to append ourselves to the other container. So what's our attach element? It's going to be our left team list or right team list. All right. So this is going to be an element that attach. Just attach to. This logic was just broken. How the hell was this working at all? It must have been just fixing itself after a couple frames and stuff like that. My player attached to is not a function. All right. Like we're adding our container element is not there, so it's container.team member. I really don't know why I have all this stuff so convoluted. A lot of this UI was a bit of a rush job as we were trying to get to actual launch. It's totally fucked up. Okay, so what's going on here is we need to just like remake these elements. Like they are not set up properly. So when the game players are updated again, what we need to do is, like, it'll remove all that stuff, good. But we need to like call ourselves again and add stuff. Okay, so basically what's going to happen here is if we get this and we remove ourselves from here, then pretty much what we want to do is continue again. So we want to do like I minus minus and continue, and that will replay this kind of frame and it'll fix itself inline. Is that what's going to happen? Yeah, that's what happens. And this guy has a scroll bar horizontally, which it's not supposed to. Did this style change? take a look at this. So because we got all these left container things. Game options line, left team container, overflow auto. Game options screen CSS. So let's try overflow X hidden. Yeah, okay, so that's what I need to do. Overflow X in a, so game options team container. Alright, that looks like it might be working. Well, let's boot up the game and see if it works in the game. Cannot read property is an empty level of undefined. Well, unfortunate. That doesn't strike me as being the actual error that's happening. It's like we've got some sort of compile issue with our scripts, or something is screwed up inside of our gameplay somewhere. Gosh, all this stuff. So it's probably load game players. Yeah, this .game players is going to be undefined. This needs to be data. See if that was it. Nope. Oh, window.ue.build? Yeah, that's gonna be wrong. Okay, so we have our user announced there. That looks like it works. Does our game options? Players dot get user by ID is not a function. Well, let's take a look at the... Okay, yeah, so these objects aren't going to have... These objects were created. Alright. So we can't just attach these useful helper methods to these objects because we don't know what type they are. Okay, so instead of using these like get by IDs and the rest of these, I need to kind of use these as static functions. Well, I guess I can just use them inside of the game state. That's one way to do it. So we have all these game state functions which are doing the same thing. Gameplay functions, I mean. Like get local user team, just well, I'd like to get all of these. I'd like to put all this logic over somewhere that's nice and organized. Um, so I can at least do some stuff like this. So we kind of use it kind of like a C structure. Alright, let's see if all this works inside of... we still don't have... We're going to have to use the static methods for this, so get user by ID. So where's this? Game options 388. So this guy doesn't exist is what it's saying. Okay, so maybe that'll get local user is not a function. I need to call, yeah, this get local user. Kind of big and stupid, but better than nothing. Alright. So that's probably fixed. This thing is just freaking out in the background. So we can add a bot, we can switch the bot's team, and it appears to be working properly. We're getting our announces. Make sure you want to kick him. Alright. Well, I will be right back and I'll continue working on this. Oh man, we wouldn't travel to the forest level while I was gone. Alright, so the big thing that wasn't showing up there was I wasn't able to kick the user because it was a bot. I wasn't doing it right. So, let me take a look here. So I spawn a bot. It's got the right bot thing on there, but when I do kick, boot clicked for user bot 0. I do that, and it says checking user against bot 0, checking user against bot. Found the actor. So why didn't it kick it? It also should not have prompted us, so something is wrong there. So game options screen. Let's see, user data, boot. Yeah, the boot button. When boot clicked. Alright, so user data.user ID. So user data dot, yeah, m is bot. That's incorrect. It's going to be is bot. Alright. Alright, so I have switched my user to the blue team. So I'm showing up there. Now what we want to do as a blue team member, because we've switched our team, is we want to lose and make sure we see that lose screen. Ah, I tried to lose. Why is it so difficult to lose? I suck at losing in my own game. Alright, so we lost, which is what we were supposed to do. So we go back here, and our stats are showing up properly. Excellent. Let's do the same thing, but switch our team. And actually, let's do a yeah, let's quit this, and we should do the vote balance. So vote to balance team. So that'll switch me to the blue team. And that should screw up the systems because the vote balancing stuff was previously totally screwed. So let's win as this team and make sure we see that victory screen. Alright, and we saw the victory screen. That's what we wanted to see. Excellent. So this screen doesn't really help us out too much with figuring out if we won or lost. Okay, so what other things do we want to do? We'd like to make sure this works over the network. So let's run a dedicated server and play as a client. So let's boot up a whole bunch of stuff and see if it works. So we just have to wait for the server to finish loading itself up. Alright, so those two guys joined in properly. Let's go ahead and add a bot. And everybody added the bot. Alright, that guy worked. That guy worked. Let's go ahead and... It's not registered as a bot though. Like, you can see this. And I can't switch this guy's team? I can't switch anybody's team. Even though I'm an admin, I'm only switching my own team. Alright, so these guys didn't come across as actual bots. Probably because our... let's see, where is our styling for bots? So it's in... It's just in the game options screen. Yeah, so isBot. So probably what we need to do is actually bot is something we need to do. So get my user. Yeah, it's probably that right there. What is that guy doing? He's just doing infinite wall jumps. Because he's trying to get up there to go punch that guy. But he can't get up there, so he's just... Because the bots can do things that people can't. Is that a draw? Yeah, it's all zeros, so yes, it was a draw. So let's see if this fixes our bot problem. So let's put this up. See what we got. Make sure it fixes our bot problem. So let's just, alright, they all joined properly. So they're showing up as people, and these guys are showing up as bots. Are they showing up as bots on the other machines? Yeah, looks like it. So let's see if kicking these things works. It's like kicking is working. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Well, it looks like kicking isn't working. Interesting. Are you sure you want to kick generic user? And then it's not actually kicking him. So let's take a look at it. Are we using BLUI? I'm not familiar with that. So what is this? This guy made BLUI. So what he's got CEF. No, we're using the built-in experimental HTML plugin with some modifications that we've put in there so we can proxy in controller input and stuff like that. So I'm looking at the BLUI. It's using pretty much the same stuff, I guess, where it's, it's using CEF, which is what the plugin uses. But this one's on CEF 3.25 whatever. So why don't we take a look at that and see what our Chromium version is. It looks like we're using 2.6.2.3. So we're probably more up to date than BLUI is. Somehow. Yeah, so what we're using is, if you go to the plugins in here, there's the experimental web browser. So we're using that, but of course I've heavily modified the kind of the browser itself in order to, because the browser itself is broken a bit. So that's kind of a bit of a problem. But basically, yeah, we're using that, and like the clicks and screen scaling and all that stuff is kind of busted in the out-of-the-box experimental plugin. So I had to go fix that and do that sort of thing. I've also got it so you can change the resolution of the UI. So I can downscale the actual quality of the UI, which greatly increases performance on, like, if you have a monster resolution on your machine. Like if you're running it like 4K or something, you don't need 4K for the UI, and it's not very efficient. So I allow like resolution scaling and stuff like that to work. So it makes a big difference. Especially since I think the CEF stuff is software rendered and all that. But yeah, we're using that UI, and kind of our workflow is I pop open the actual UI in Chrome, and that's where I work for everything. So like I have a full working UI in Chrome, and I can just right click on everything and inspect the elements and do all the things I need to, and then I just pop it open in the game, and it's the same UI. So that's been pretty successful. And even my artist business partner dude, which is actually over on his channel doing his thing, he's working on parts of the UI as well. And he can, work on that stuff and no problem. And the reason we picked that as opposed to using Slate is, I think, probably pretty obvious. Slate sucks. And kind of the only options I think that you got for UI right now in a modern game engine is either using Scaleform or using some form of WebKit. Whether it's Coherent or Chromium or something, just everybody's using WebKit or Scaleform, so don't fight it. You haven't opened another tab? Yeah. But Yeah, we had to do quite a bit. I'm not happy with the interface with the experimental plugin between C++ and Unreal. Oh yeah, the out-of-the-box stuff for the experimental plugin has some massive issues with input. Like the WebKit window will receive all input and then proxy it back into the game an undefined number of frames later, because like the web UI is running at 30 frames per second. Input will come into the web UI, get put into a queue, processed, and then if it's actually handled, it'll consume the event. Otherwise, it rethrows it into the window. So you might be waiting, 30 to 60 milliseconds more for your inputs if you just boot up the experimental plugin. It's real stupid. So in order to do that sort of thing, I actually, I throw the events to both the window and the WebKit window at the same time, and the web window just does what the hell it does, and the game gets the input as well, because it just doesn't matter. I don't click on anything, so who gives a shit? But the problem is, all the events, including, your Xbox controller axis events, would it have the same delay? So lots of stuff like that where you'd be like, man, that's seriously screwed up. Alright, so I was having trouble kicking users, so where is the boot command? Alright, so we got the boot button. On boot clicked, this.m user data, userdata.user ID. Make sure, so we're doing boot player. So let's boot up two of these guys and let's run this as the listen server. And we'll see if it's something with the dedicated server and server admin stuff getting screwed up or something else. Yeah, if I was going to start over from scratch, I probably would just use Scaleform or something like that, to be honest. The WebKit stuff has worked pretty well, but it's not as nearly as performant as I'd like it to be. And as a result, we've had to do things that I don't really like doing. So if I had to start all over again, I'd probably go look again at licensing Scaleform and probably just put the money down for it. Just because I think it's probably just worth it. Alright, so that boot did work. So that client is having fun. So let's go back and join that game. So what does our boot logic look like otherwise? So gameplay boot player. So we're going to remove player request broadcast, which I think is supposed to be picked up by the player controller. Scaleform are nice, too bad Flash is going away. Are you using the normal Unreal 4 network stack? I'm pretty sure. Just good job, Vizio. Good job crashing, you pile of trash. But yeah, I'm just using the standard Unreal 4 client server model for the game server for all that. Because I don't know, it works. So why reinvent the wheel if you don't have to do that? I haven't had too much of a problem with it. Oh, the booting stuff is just some events. Like I've refactored the UI and like I've just broken a whole bunch of shit. So that's probably what's going on. And I haven't really done all this stuff. Yeah, so this boot player request is just trash. Like, look at this. Like, if we are a server admin and local player, then we're gonna call on a player controller. What the fuck? Like, we're calling from the client. The player controller for the other client doesn't exist on our machine. So we need to make another event here for this. So what are we passing? The player ID? Yeah, that's what we should do. And all that. Is local player. We could just get rid of this trash here. All we need is this. Because then we have that for removing bots. Well, we're calling this on ourselves, so that's going to work. But this guy needs to call on this other player controller. So we just need to do it that way. Yeah, I've got more than that in here, but you know, like you need a call from the client to the dedicated server or whatever to do the thing. But we do a little bit more than that. We also give them a reason and that sort of thing. So, hooray! So let's make sure it works. Yeah, well, it's just a lot of the stuff that we put together. We're rushing for our December launch that we made for this game, and as a result, you cut a few corners. So we definitely cut a few corners on stuff. Like bots weren't even supposed to be in the game, so. And then like server admin stuff got added, just kind of tacked on top with whatever the hell we could do quickly. So we're paying the price and fixing the bugs, but we made our deadlines. That's what matters. AI is hard as hell. The bots that we have in here are the dumbest pieces of garbage ever. It's really funny. Alright, so let's become our admin and let's start booting people. Alright, booting worked. It's just freezing because it's an editor thing. Am I getting the left messages? Oh, excellent. So it's working. Thank you for following Beheaded Straw. So you can always catch me when I'm raging and sarcastic. Which I've been trying to stream more than I was. I had to pretty much stop streaming for quite a while because we needed to make our deadline. So the other thing is I'd like to be able to switch these people's team if I am a server admin. So why aren't we seeing the team switch stuff? Let's take a look at that. So team switch clicked. You've been looking into streaming more? Are you streaming your game development? Are you streaming games? So switch team button. Okay, so are we the host is false and get allow team switching is false. You streamed your Unreal 4 Game Jam game? Awesome. Yeah, if I was working on a Game Jam game, I probably wouldn't make it in Unreal. I'd probably make it in some web engine, just because Unreal kind of... it's a bit bigger than we need. So it's not just that we're host, so if we are not the host, yeah, it's like we need this server admin thing here. So we are not the host and we are not admin. So we are not the host. And we are not admin and no team switching, then don't do this. Otherwise, if we are the host or we are the admin, then go ahead and show the team switch. All right, so that should do it. It was an Unreal specific game jam. UE4 jam. Should I look that up? I should look that up. Because so it was the winter UE4 jam. It kicks off on February 8th and ended February 11th. That's cool. There's just a lot of like give more notice, angry missions. Oh, yeah, we had sponsored by Assembla. Yeah, I see how it is. Yeah, what'd you make for your game jam? Anything interesting? So let's see, we have the team switch stuff now. Do we have it on everybody's screen? No, just our own. Awesome, so that works now. Racing game on ice, stay on sections for too long, the ice breaks. Not bad. I have not done anything with vehicles in Unreal, so that could be interesting. Yeah, game jam games are usually pretty fun. Because usually you make them simple enough that they're actually fun games. Vehicles are a pain, yeah. Yeah, I haven't really participated in that many game jams. The last game jam I participated in was like 3 years ago, and that was at Amazon. And it was like the Amazon game jam thing. Let me see if this thing works still. Yeah, the last game jam I made was this one. Let's see if it does its thing. Let me see, I gotta use an Xbox controller, I think. Lumberyard? Nah, this is just in WebKit. And it also ran on Fire TV. And it's just like a super simple. You just punched balls into the goal. And it was a 24-hour game jam, so I made the whole thing from scratch. Me and it was really just one artist guy who drew everything. And it's like a 6-player game, and it works on Fire TV. On oh shit, I turned off the. I forgot about that. I forgot that I had turned off the running anywhere on the screen. What a fucking train wreck this game is. But we played this in the office actually quite a bit because there aren't that many like actual 4 or 6-player games that exist, and since this thing ran on PC and on Fire TV and some other stuff, we could hook it up anywhere. So it was pretty cool. Ah, fuck. Oh.